Hello class, Professor Gomez here, and I wanted to help out with the discussion that deals with citizenship and property rights. You read the two court cases, People versus Paulo de la Guerra, that deals with citizenship, and Botilier versus Dominguez, that deals with property rights. But I wanted to go back to 1821, when Mexico first established a new set of law in el Plan de Iguala. Plan de Iguala was kind of like a constitution document for the new nation of Mexico. And at that time, in Article 11 of the Plan Iguala, it stated that all citizens of Mexico were equal and they were also citizens. That makes sense? That meant that Indians, blacks, all those people who were oppressed under the casta system at the time were finally free. So this is transferred into the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo when the article says that if Mexicans want to be a U.S. citizens, then they can be U.S. citizens. But let's find out what happens to Arizona, New Mexico, and California, and more specific to the indigenous population at that time. Even though they are Mexican citizens, according to the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo, they should be U.S. citizens. That never happened. That was never recognized by the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo. So, I mentioned that in the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo, the U.S. agreed to recognize Indian land holdings and to allow Indian people to continue their life, their customs, and their language. It was part of their preservation of their culture, the same way Mexico did when let them become full Mexican citizens. However, at that time, the American Indian policies were focused on removing Indians from their lands and confining them to reservations on land that were considered to be unsuitable for agriculture or mining. So that was pretty sketchy by the U.S. So what happened in California? 2 years right after the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo, and this is 1850, the U.S. Congress authorized the president to appoint a negotiator to make treaties with the indigenous population of California. And the indigenous people of California were to give up all their rights which had been reserved to them in the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo with Mexico. So that was another violation right there. So the Indian commissioner explained to the non-Indian residents of the state that the government had two options: to exterminate the Indians or to domesticate them. They argued that domesticating them was more practical and political. Non-Indians in California fiercely opposed the ratification of the treaties. And if indigenous people wanted to preserve the land, they also were giving a time frame, and they needed to do that in San Francisco. So think about if you were in Southern California and you have to go all the way up to San Francisco. At that time, I mean, today it takes from San Diego to San Francisco about 10 hours. That time probably took weeks to get there. So people were discouraged to do so. So this is really important because now you understand how the U.S. tried to circumvent the law to rip off the indigenous population.